Your parents lied to you about money. It was probably unintentional, but the damage was still done. So that's why in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 lies our parents taught us about money and what the truth actually is. I'll leave timestamps for each of the 5 lies in the description box below in case you want to skip ahead, but let's go ahead and get into it. The first lie our parents taught us is super common, and I'm sure like 99% of you have had your parents say this to you when you were a kid, and that is that money does not grow on trees. And this lie is really that making money is hard. So I understand this whole idea around the concept that money, it takes hard work to get money, but it's not necessarily true that making money is hard. You don't have to toil and sweat and work super hard to make money, especially today, right now, with so many opportunities for passive income streams. There are people who literally don't go to work at all. They just wake up in the morning and their investments are earning them and generating them money behind the scenes while they're just resting and doing whatever they want during the day. There are 2 passive income streams which are easy for anybody to get started with. The first is a high yield savings account, which is just a savings account that offers a higher interest rate than a traditional savings account. And I have had my high yield savings account for a while now, and it's great because all I do is I put in my emergency fund money and it just grows every month. Right now, interest rates are between 4 and 5%. And I make a good amount of money every month just by simply keeping my money in this bank account. And also, the second income stream is through dividends. So if you buy a stock or an ETF and you hold it, then some companies will pay you either monthly or quarterly or semi-annually a dividend payment, which is basically just free money for holding that stock. So those are 2 passive income streams that anybody can really have, but there are multiple passive income streams out there and multiple ways to make money. So it's not necessarily true that making money is hard. The idea that making money is hard really lends to a scarcity mentality, which is the idea that there's not enough money to go around. And people think of it as like a pie and say, if you take a slice of the pie, then obviously there's less left for everyone else. But that doesn't apply to money. There are endless ways to make money, endless opportunities, and especially if you tap into your specific strengths, your unique abilities, then you can make money very easily and have fun at what you're doing. The second lie which our parents taught us is that money is the root of all evil. Now this, I think, has got to be the most misquoted Bible verse of all time. I'm not sure about the statistics or anything, but this is the one I hear the most that is misquoted. So the actual verse is 1 Timothy 6:10, which says, "For the love of money is a root of all kinds of evil. Some people, eager for money, have wandered from the faith and pierced themselves with many griefs." So as you can see, this verse is telling us that it is the love of money that is the root of all kinds of evil, not money itself. Especially if you're a Christian, people tend to make us believe that God doesn't want us to have money, or that it may be sinful to have a lot of money or to be wealthy, but that's not necessarily true. God doesn't hate money. God doesn't say it's sinful to be rich or to be wealthy. There are certain aspects of our spirituality which can become more difficult if you are wealthy. You tend to rely more on yourself rather than God. But that doesn't mean that money itself is evil. It's really what you choose to do with your money that can make it good or make it evil. For example, one of the Greek definitions of the word miracles, or dunamis, means the power and influence that belongs to riches and wealth. So money really comes with a lot of influence. It comes with a lot of power, and that can be used either for evil or for good. It's really up to the person who has the money to decide what they want to do with it. To put this into perspective, I heard someone say that money is like a brick. You can use those bricks to build a hospital and care for people, or you can throw it through a window and destroy things. So ultimately, the choice is to each one of us individually. The next lie that our parents taught us is that credit cards are bad. I grew up hearing my parents telling me over and over again, do not ever use a credit card, don't get involved with that. It will ruin you financially. And I think that's a common thing to hear. My parents are immigrants, so they didn't grow up in their country having credit cards, using credit cards. So when they came to the States, that was really their first introduction to that. And I think the misuse of credit cards is what turned them off from them. But the truth is that credit cards in and of themselves are not bad. It's how you use that credit card. You have to learn how to use credit cards responsibly. Otherwise, they really can be like your downfall financially. They can totally ruin your finances. They can ruin your money if you misuse them. Credit cards are helpful to build up your credit score, and we know that credit scores are super important because they can impact your loan interest rates, your insurance rates, whether or not your landlord will want to rent an apartment to you. So keeping track of your credit score and using your credit card wisely to build your credit is helpful. And you can keep track of your credit score using free sites like Credit Karma or Experian, or sometimes even the credit card app itself will track your credit score for you. But the important thing with credit cards is to pay your bills on time and never spend more on a credit card than you can actually pay off in that month. And I have a video on my channel where I cover the best time to pay your credit card if you are seeking to raise your credit score. So I'll leave that linked up here somewhere. The fourth lie our parents taught us about money is that you need to have a professional do your taxes. I grew up seeing my parents like filling out huge stacks of papers for their CPA when it was time for them to file taxes. So when I grew up and when I started earning money, I also thought I needed to use a CPA to file my taxes. And this continued even after the point when I earned my own CPA, which I think is pretty funny because it was just like so ingrained in my brain that I just needed this person because he has more experience doing this, because he does this yearly versus me. I'm a new CPA and I don't really have that experience, and I work in audit. I don't work in tax, so I need him to do it. But that is just not true. Let me tell you, like, you really only need a professional if you have some sort of complicated financial situation, like you have multiple investment properties, you're self-employed, things like that. But if you're just a regular W-2 employee, you go to work, you come home, that's pretty much it. You don't need a CPA to do your taxes. You can do it yourself very easily. I started doing it myself using TurboTax a couple of years ago, and I was always wondering, like, why did I ever even bother having someone do this for me? Because TurboTax is very intuitive and it just walks you through everything. And by the way, this is not sponsored. I'm just telling you my experience with TurboTax. But there are multiple different services that you can use to file your taxes on your own. There's H&R Block, and there are even some free tax services like TaxAct and Free Tax USA. So definitely look into these options before you file your next tax return, because this will also save you some money. The next lie our parents tell us about money is that you need to be loyal to your job. And I actually kind of like the idea of this lie, but if you think about it practically in real life, it doesn't make sense to carry through with it. I agree that yes, we should all be grateful for our jobs. We should work hard at our jobs and be grateful to our employers. And I think it's awesome to hear stories of people who have been working at the same company for years. I used to work at a public accounting firm, and there were many partners at that firm who had only ever worked at that company since they had graduated college. So they had been there for 20 years, 25 years, 30 years. And I was like, wow, this is very impressive. And I also don't know how they could stand to be in public accounting for that long, but that's something separate. But I do think it's cool to see people have that longevity. But if you are not enjoying the work that you're doing and you're not enjoying your job, I don't think that you should be scared to leave and find something that is better suited for you. You should know that you have no obligation to be loyal to your employer because your employer has no obligation to be loyal to you. People are hired and fired all the time. The business may start to decline and they may lay people off. I've dealt with that situation at both my previous company and my current company. And it's always really sad to see and sad to go through and hard to go through and see these people lose their jobs all of a sudden. But the thing is that your employer, at the end of the day, they are running a business and they are trying to make money. And so they've got to do what they've got to do to make money and to make a profit. And sometimes that comes at the expense of your job. Now, I'm not saying that you should quit in your job every couple months or even every year. I think that's kind of a lot and may indicate to future employers that you don't take your job seriously or you're not willing to really invest and grow in a company too. But I have heard that the sweet spot for switching jobs is around every 2 to 3 years, and there are 3 specific reasons why. The first reason is, of course, money. So when you switch your job, typically you can expect to see between a 10 to 20% pay increase. So if you switch jobs every 2 years for 10 years, that would equate to around a 100% increase in salary. This is huge because if you tend to stay at the same company, then people may surpass you in the long run. While if you switch, you have the opportunity to get that immediate jump. The second reason why you should switch every 2 to 3 years is career advancement. So switching jobs allows you to be in the driver's seat of your career and really decide how you want to shape your career. You have to be your own advocate when it comes to work, and typically a company isn't just going to hand you your dream job right there. You kind of have to put things together, pull pieces together, and kind of mold what you want for your career journey. And the third reason is that switching every 2 to 3 years will allow you to build up your professional network. So if you have worked at a lot of different employers, then obviously you're gonna know a lot of different people. And those people can be really helpful and instrumental in your next career move. I recently read that 70% of jobs are fulfilled through the hidden market. And this hidden market is just referring to jobs that are not advertised or posted online, but they are actually filled through networking. So this just goes to show who you know matters and who likes you matters. So while you're working at your current job, be careful not to burn any bridges because you never know when you may need these people again further down the line. So I want to know, am I the only one who grew up hearing these lies, or did you hear some of them too? And also, what other lies have your parents taught you about money? Let's have a conversation in the comments below. And before you leave, be sure to subscribe to my channel for more personal finance content.